Hey guys, my name is Miriam. I help people survive narcissistic abuse by understanding the pathology of the actual disorder we call NPD. So I felt the urgency to make a video today. I normally don't get into like my personal experience with this narcissist, but I thought I'd talk about it a little bit today just to kind of fill people in about how truly dangerous these individuals are and how hopeless the situation is if you are in a relationship with a narcissist and you have that glimmer of hope and you think now you know how to deal with them, or you've learned enough from YouTube videos that you know how to stop them in their tracks or whatever it may be. This video is to really open your eyes and make you aware that there is absolutely no hope for these people with NPD and that the behavior is pathological. It is going to continue and continue. The definition of pathology is the effects that the symptoms of a disorder or disease have on a person. So again, this is symptomatic and it's consistent and constant, just like arthritis may be consistent and constant in its symptoms. Okay, so you can put a patch on the symptoms and treat them temporarily, but they will always revert back to the symptoms that they have. I wanted to make you guys aware of how extremely dangerous it is to allow a narcissist into your life in any way, shape, or form. This can be a detrimental, severe punishment to yourself, and you have to really be made aware through these YouTube videos or other people's personal experience about what can truly happen and how hopeless it truly is. Again, I want to keep things professional and not get too like in depth about the personal aspects, but I'm going to get extremely personal in this video because it's so scary and it's so dark that you as an individual or people need to know. I was in what I would call and what professionals have called a top 3% domestic violence scenario with an abusive narcissist, a very low functioning narcissist in his behaviors. So a lot of the abuse was degrading. There was an air of psychopathy to it. So I'm kind of teetering on whether this person was a psychopath or a narcissist. And well, all psychopaths have NPD, but not all NPD have psychopathy. But I'm feeling like this person is an NPD psychopathy cocktail. But so this was an extremely dangerous, horrific domestic violence situation that I was in for an entire 14 months. There was a lot of kidnapping involved, hostage situations, and I had been there able to brainwash you so much that you're unable to get help because you're brainwashed into having this trust and loyalty because they bond you to them through trauma bonding and love bombing, that there comes this heightened sense of trust and loyalty that you have to them, and they know that you have that. And because they isolate you, you don't have a lot of a good reward system from your surroundings. So the only person there to reward you is them. So you're constantly seeking their approval and acceptability and their reward. So this narcissist, possibly psychopath, I'm assuming, I had court with him and I really had an epiphany. I have court with him rather often, but I had like an epiphany that I needed to share with you guys. I've been in and out of court with this monster for, and I don't even want to call him that, to be honest with you, because after this court date, I felt really bad, which we shouldn't feel bad about for them. I know that, but I felt really bad that this person is tormented and cursed with this thing we call NPD. I just realized how pathological it is and how there is literally no change, zero change, absolutely none. I had court with him, and despite everything that's happened in this year, despite going to jail for his crimes, despite spending 2 months in jail for his crimes, and spending time in solitary confinement because of bad behavior in jail, despite having his children taken from him and having to be on monitored visits, despite constant weekly interactions with child protective service workers, professional monitors, courts, judges, lawyers, going to DV program every week for almost an entire year. This person has literally not changed, not a centimeter, not a millimeter, not an inch, nothing. There's no change from this individual. I had court with this individual, and during court, he was constantly speaking about me to his attorney rather loud, where my friends had heard. And this is somebody who terrorized me pregnant with his children, so almost sent me into a miscarriage with my first and second child. And he was talking loudly with his attorney. My friends were overhearing the things he was saying about me, calling me a drama queen, etc., etc. And the Child Protective Service Department, they want to keep this individual on professional monitored visits. So this is very, very uncommon for somebody to be on professional monitored visits through the Department of Child Protective Services for as long as he's been, especially when on paper he's doing everything he's supposed to do. But they were able to detect the psychological issues that he had, and thus were able to kind of assess the safety of the children was not in his best interest, which one of the worst things that a narcissist can do is raise children. So if you are 100% sure you have swifted through the symptoms of NPD, and you are certain that the father of your children or mother of your children has NPD, you need to do whatever it takes to make sure that they don't have their hand in raising these children. They cannot have their hand in raising these children. And if by some awful circumstance, which seems to be the circumstance for a lot of people, they do have their hand. So there's a lot of videos on parallel parenting that you can watch, or just no contact parenting, and I would highly suggest watching them. So try and limit the access that they have to your children if that is a viable option to you, and you can use the court system to do that. But either way, so we're in court. He's doing all these things, very aggressively looking at my friend, eyeballing her. And we have something called a contest hearing. So he's contesting what the Child Protective Service Department has suggested to close the case, and suggested for me to have sole legal custody and him to be on professional monitored visits. So I prepared my attorney, because if you do have an attorney for these things, you have to prepare them for a display, a show in court. And I told her he's going to be extremely aggressive if you cross-check him, because he was taking the stand that day, and I told him he's going to be very upset, he's going to be very angry, so prepare yourself for that. So we went into the courtroom, and this is where it gets really scary. So he took the stand, and him and his attorney, they had a little arrangement or a plan where the attorney would ask him questions, and he started crying. Not just crying, the same crying I would see after he would abuse me physically. The fake narcissist crying. And if you guys know what that is, it's a very awkward cry, because they can imitate this sadness and the sorrow to get what they want through manipulation, but it's never real. So it was just the most awkward thing. I literally had this look of sheer just disbelief on my face. I couldn't even hide it. I never made eye contact with him, because I can't, because it triggers me in a lot of ways. So I had this sheer just amazement on my face, just mortified, like, wow, he's really doing this. They changed the narrative of the questioning to me attacking him with a knife. 9 months pregnant, this man broke down my door several times, On this specific, I used to hide weapons around my house, and this specific night I knew he was coming to my home. I knew he was coming. I had hid knives in my sofa. I hid knives upstairs. And I waited. I called a friend. I said, I think he's going to come to my house tonight. Please, if I text you, call them. Call the police. Don't ask any questions. Give them my address. So I left. He had already broken the door down from a previous incident. There were several times he broke the door down. So I had left it open just a crack so I could see if he was coming up the stairs. And I had my phone in my hand. I turned off all, most of the lights. I kept a little light on just so it was just, I was really focused on that door. I was helpless. I was 34 and a half weeks pregnant. So that's like right at the 8-month mark. Yeah, like right at the 9-month mark. So I'm pregnant with our first kid. Leave the door open a little bit. I see him walking up the stairs and I yelled to him. I said, you need to leave. The police are coming. Hit the send button. Guy comes in, starts laughing because that's how he deals with the torment inside, as he laughs. This chuckle, the smirk, you guys know what it is, the NPD smirk. Walks inside, sits down on the couch. I knew he was going to hit me. I'm shaking and I reach in, I grab the knife and I'm like, you need to leave, get out of my house. And he looks at me and sees me shaking and holding it up. Obviously, I wasn't going to stab the guy. I don't even know how I could ever stab somebody, but now that I'm stronger, and if I was ever put in a situation like that, I would have stabbed him, but I didn't, because I had that loyalty and trust and the fight or freeze. I was a freezer. And he looks at me and he punches me twice in the face. So he broke into my home, tried to tell him to leave, hold up the knife, punches me in my nose and in my mouth, and there's blood everywhere. At that moment, the friend who I told to call the police, she calls me. She calls me. I love her to death, but oh my God, that was the wrong move. She calls me and he tells me, pick up the phone, and he holds his fist to my face. And at this point, we're in the kitchen and he's trying to contain the blood. And I'm muffled. I mean, I tried to sound really in danger, but I said everything to her on the phone that he told me to tell her. But I tried to sound in danger so that she could get the hint and call the police. But she didn't get the hint and she did not call the police. After that, a 6 to 7 hour tormenting, physically abusive night started, okay? And it ended with him kicking me in the bottom of the spine as hard as he could, and that's when my contractions started. So my face is messed up, kicks me in the bottom of my spine, I'm having contractions, and now the NPD switches like a flick, and now he's become a victim narcissist. So he's being, kind and gentle, puts me in the tub, and he starts hitting himself in the head. I mean, it was so bad. It was so bad. And that was just one of like the 30 incidents. I'm not going to finish the story, but I'm sure you get the hint. So this is the knife wielding incident that his attorney's talking about, the stabbing, right? That I tried to stab him. So the point of the story is the narcissist is so delusional, and it really, really puts you in immense danger as a person that knows them. This puts you in danger of your finances, of your children, of your health, of your well-being. So you need to understand that these people are delusional. They create false realities for themselves and they believe it, okay? So this is very, very dangerous. This man has gone through immense amounts of counseling, and this was his end result in court, was to bawl his eyes out, make up fictitious and false stories. He even at one point looked at me. He has a 10-year restraining order, which is the maximum restraining order someone can give somebody, and the courts are extremely hesitant to give out 10-year restraining orders to people that have children with somebody. So the fact that I got this kind of can attest for the severity of the abuse. So he looks at me and he's bawling and crying. And mind you, he had just been talking a bunch of nonsense about me outside to his attorney. And he goes, Miriam, I'm so sorry. This is the stuff he used to do, but I wasn't looking at him. So that just shows you how quick they can flip the script. So dangerous, so delusional, so scary. I really, really realized at that point in the courtroom, my whole outlook on narcissistic personality disorder changed. I don't view them how I used to view them. And they're much more dangerous than I ever thought they could be. Oh, my baby's crying. So I'm going to have a part 2 of this, and hopefully it teaches you something, okay? So I got to go tend to this, and I will be back with a part 2.